test for sleepiness.
What?
Sleepiness.
Sleepiness. It doesn't it doesn't always happen, but sometimes I get to a point where there's nothing. There seems to be emptiness, and then I realize that I'm sleeping. I'm getting very sleepy.
Sleepiness is very much the same as distractions. It's something that your mind will want to do rather than continuing the practice. And you train yourself out of it in very much the same way. Except that in the case of sleepiness, you have to do something. The energy level of your mind falls, and that's why you become dull and then drowsy and then sleepy. Or fall asleep. And so you have to, first of all, learn to recognize it, and to learn to recognize it sooner and sooner. Because, it starts out as very subtle, and then it gets stronger, and then it gets stronger, and then you notice it. So you try, the earlier you can notice it, the better. Once you've noticed it, though, you need to do something to increase the energy level of the mind again. You need to rouse yourself back up to a state of full wakefulness and alertness. And so there's different ways that you can do that, and these different ways are appropriate to different degrees of dullness that you're experiencing, or sleepiness. So what you'll need to do is to match the thing that you do. The antidote to dullness needs to be matched pretty well to the strength of the dullness. And what you're looking for is a strong enough antidote that it brings you back to a state of alertness that is sustained for at least several minutes, say 5 minutes. If you sink right back into the dullness again after 30 seconds, then you didn't use a strong enough antidote. Okay? So you need to use something stronger. And then it is just a process. The process of training is learning to recognize more quickly, and then always applying the antidote, and just repeating the process over and over again until the time comes that you are rarely, if ever, subject to dullness and drowsiness.
So what are the antidotes?
The antidotes are, depending on how strong the dullness is, drowsiness can be overcome by something that kind of shocks the system into a state of alertness. So if you're already feeling drowsy, I recommend taking several deep breaths, and if you're in a situation where you're not going to disturb somebody else, let the breath out very slowly against resistance. Take a deep breath, and you'll just feel the rush of energy up to your head when you do that. And if you do that several times, you should be wide awake. Another thing, if you're sitting with other people and you don't want to disturb them, is you can do the same thing. Take deep breaths and let them out more gently. The other thing you can do is to tense all of your muscles and relax them. And this is you're just waking yourself up, So if it's drowsiness, wake yourself up in that way. If you catch it earlier, then you can use not so strong antidotes. For the subtlest form of dullness, all you really need to do is to refocus your awareness on the meditation object and bring it up to the same intensity and clarity that you become used to, that you know that you're capable of. But that usually you're a pretty experienced meditator in about the 5th stage of the practice, and you're working with eliminating the subtlest forms of dullness for that to really be an adequate thing to do. Normally what keeps your mind awake is the stimulation we get from the senses. And so what you can do when dullness is not very strong, but it's definitely there, is instead of just being focused on the breath, expand your awareness to your whole body. Feel all the different sensations in your body. Listen to the sounds around you. Just become aware of everything. You can open your eyes. If you open your eyes, and opening your eyes and listening and feeling will arouse your mind to a certain extent. And if dullness is not too great, then that will be quite sufficient in itself. You can also meditate with your eyes open. if that seems like if that seems like it's working, just more of a broader awareness, and you're kind of awake. In order to help stay alert, is you might meditate with your eyes open rather than closed, not focused on, not looking at anything in particular, just open, and your attention is back on the sensations of your breath. So, and then if that's not enough, if you find sometimes there's when the dullness is stronger than the antidote that you are applying, you'll have an experience called sinking. You'll bring yourself back up to alertness, and then it's like you've risen to the top of the water in the pool, and you immediately feel yourself starting to sink again. So you find yourself sinking, you need to do something stronger. So you need to do something like the muscle clenching or the deep breathing. And even if doing those you still find yourself sinking, then stand up, meditate standing up for a while. Switch from sitting meditation to walking meditation, or even go and splash some cold water in your face and then go sit down again. So, do whatever's necessary to overcome the sinking, so that you have like several good solid minutes before the dullness comes back, and then repeat the process. And don't be concerned with how often this happens or how often you need to repeat the process. If you arouse yourself strongly enough, you're training the mind. If it's strongly enough that you stay alert for several minutes, it's going to produce the training effect. What you'll have, if you're having a sit where there's a lot of dullness, you might experience at some point you'll apply one of these antidotes and you'll become really wide awake and alert, and it won't be a problem again for the rest of the sit. And that's great. This is sort of the overall direction that you're moving towards, as you'll find that more and more often that's the case. Dullness comes on, you notice it quickly, you apply the antidote, maybe you have to repeat it 2 or 3 times, but then, wow, after that you're okay, it's no problem. And the time will come where you very rarely have to do this at all. Most people don't like dullness, because dullness makes it, or don't like dealing with dullness. Dullness is pleasant. You just really, really want to go into it. And it's painful to pull yourself out of it. Ouch. I want to do that to myself. It's so nice just to get in this nice little dreamy state. So, and as a result of that, a person can very easily become prone to being annoyed because there's dullness, or feel like, oh, this is a problem, I got to do something, or it's just, what's the matter with me, or I hate this, or and those are the kinds of thoughts that you don't want to have. Those thoughts, they will actually make it more difficult for you to recognize dullness, because if you beat yourself up for being dull, then that part of your mind whose job it is to say, hey, I think dullness is happening, it's going to say, hey, I'm not saying anything. We get beat up when we speak up. So you got to avoid negative reactions towards your dullness. You got to stay equanimous and accepting, and okay, yeah, I'm going to have to work with dullness whenever it's there.